your mock draft. You and Nick dropped one on Steelers Draft Talk yesterday. It was a blast to listen to. I've never listened to a mock draft before, so watching your guys's, because I watch everything before it goes out, listening to you guys, watching you guys talk about that was pretty fun. You had a very surprising name that I laughed at heavily when you said it with that first pick, because I knew, like, as soon as it came out of your mouth, I was just like, this is his guy. Derek's always got a guy. This year it's him. Go through a couple of those picks. Let everybody know kind of how you guys felt about that mock draft the first couple rounds.
Yeah, it was a cool little idea that we chopped up before we got going this week. I wanted to do a mock draft just because, like, I know the fan base in general just like they love mock drafts more than anything in this world. So everybody's been sending me their mocks. So I've been like, man, we gotta get something out on the pod about this. But basically, me and Nick did like dual mock drafts. So he did a separate one from myself, and then we didn't talk about our picks or anything because I wanted the conversation to flow really fluid. It's very interesting. We both took completely different paths, but we ended up with a lot of the same positions just because we see the needs similarly. But I picked Devon Witherspoon from Illinois at 17, and I talked about him a little bit on here, and I've talked about him a lot on the draft pod, but I really just think that he fits into what the Steelers are looking to do in the back end with, how much man experience that he has at Illinois. They're a very man-heavy defense. He's an awesome player, man. He's real physical, short area burst, can click and close with the best of them. But I love the way that he gets his hands in the passing lane. And I think, when you look at the Steelers, they want to play man coverage. They want guys that can get their hands on a football, and Witherspoon does that, better than really anyone else in this class. So I just think from his mentality, his physicality, I love I love Witherspoon's game. And then Nick, his first pick was Jordan Addison. I mean, we've talked about him at length on here, and we'll be talking about him a lot just because he's so he's going to be linked to the Steelers, throughout this process for obvious reasons. But Addison, he's route running technician who's he's really fun to watch, and I think that he makes a sense for pretty much everybody just because of the skill set that he brings to the table.
I was really interested with Nick's second pick of Drew Sanders. That's a sleeper, I feel like. Good name, Alabama.
A lot of steam in the draft
at
community.
Arkansas. Yeah, a lot of I feel like real, like, Noah Sewell's the big name, but inside linebackers always kind of fly under the radar. He's a good one. And to land him with the 32nd pick, I thought was not bad. I didn't think that one was a bad one.
Yeah. Sanders is a really interesting player. He really explosive. And, Arkansas used him in a lot of different ways. He, got the chance to rush the passer a lot, which I always feel like is interesting for inside linebackers. Like, how are they deployed in obvious passing situations? Some of my favorite guys over the last cycle or two have been guys that even goes guys that kind of kick out to edge, or they end up blitzing on kind of some of those exotic, like A-gap mug looks. So, I definitely see the intrigue with Sanders' game. I'm hoping to finish up my eval on him and Trenton Simpson here in the next couple of days because I'm seeing those are familiar names for me. It's so funny. I'll post like a draft tweet, like a clip of a player, and like it's like almost every one of them end up getting a screenshot of like a PFF mock generator. So I do appreciate you guys. It's pretty fun. So
no, yeah, it was cool. It's still early for draft season, I feel, but it's like, the Mobile's the first step, and then you keep it going, and then you keep it going. You went wide receiver deep. You went left tackle. What, in the third round? No, second pick of the second round.
With my second pick. Anton Harrison, he's a really interesting player. Really, really good athlete. Just love the way that he moves. I think he gets out of his stance really well. I think he can mirror fairly well. I love the way he gets to the second level. It was a game that I didn't watch before I was getting ready for the mock, but I watched another Oklahoma game. I think it was the Texas game from 2 years ago. I was actually watching Marvin Mims again, but I watched him get to the second level and just seal off like two huge run plays, one for Caleb Williams, one for their back last year. But that's something I really like about his game is how well he gets to the second level. So he's got some technical stuff to work on. He's not as consistent probably as you'd like him to be just in his technique, but a lot of tools there. I saw somebody in the comments asking me about Broderick Jones. Jones is similar where I think that hand placement, hand technique's not always where it needs to be. You know, sometimes I'll have his hands too low. Sometimes like the hand placement will be too wide, but Jones is awesome when he gets out in space. I mean, he's like a road grader. Whenever Georgia, they like to get him on the move. They pull him and different things, and he targets smaller defenders really well in space, which I like. So Jones is another guy with a lot of tools that's going to go somewhere in the top 20, top 25 of the draft process. Somebody else has said, I think people are undervaluing Clark Phillips. I think he's top 3 corner in the draft off production. Nick had Clark Phillips in his mock last night. He was Nick's, I think, third pick.
Third, I was going to say, it was
round
definitely
49.
second rounder.
Yeah, Phillips has some he's definitely some Asante Samuel Jr. Nick's talked about them kind of being similar with smaller corners with slight frames, but really, really good tape. I loved ASJ coming out. So I've been a big fan of Phillips for a couple of years as well. I do think he's going to get pushed down draft boards because the corner class is the draft overall is probably below average in terms of what I've seen, but the corner class I think is pretty good. It might not have the top tier elite guys that last year did, but I think it's as deep as like we've seen in a long time. So I think he may get stuck a little bit in that regard, but he's a good player.
It's a good thing for the Steelers though, because it's deep draft is very needed for Pittsburgh. You know, they need even if they do sign Cam Sutton, and me and you were kind of going back and forth, and we've talked about this before. Even if you do sign Cam Sutton back, you need another corner. Like you can't walk in there. Even if your expectations for Levi Wallace is to start again, cool. You still need another corner. Like you need that third corner. Zero questions asked. I think that's very high on their priority list.